My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft.
Wait for the weekend. I saw you right there. We got the two bathrooms.
Oh, I know. Oh, one time I had 4 baskets. I had a big giant order from Smartphone. It was for delivered to Amazon warehouse. There was a bunch of stuff for like an employee party. My whole car was filled up. Every little space that you could fill up was full.
You can go. Hey, I make.
By the way, it's 9:46 a.m.
Right, so.
Gang stalkers, Stater Brothers, in Ontario Village Shopping Center, and the images show Mr. Quinones, the next documented terrorist that is engaged in what is managing gang stalking at the Stater Brothers amongst the people of the state, is engaged in facilitation while all of the workforce and all of the demons gang stalking in the grocery store are maintaining surveillance. The entity is engaging in this. It's Thursday, November 20th, 2025. It's 9:47 a.m. These are the demons that are stalking with light, failing at presenting as sane or like they're doing anything other than gang stalking. That's what you're hearing talking in the background while they're monitoring as I'm on the Stater Brothers Wi-Fi. P.O.C. The entity stalking by airport and stalking by the Ontario International Airport in the parking lot. And the government that is stalking me is letting the federal government know that the grocery store that I'm inside of is stalking. And so does the fake sun documentation. Isaiah, who was gang stalking me the last time I was here, is present gang stalking me even upon my entrance. I'm being greeted with the Ontario International Airport, while Isaiah is gang stalking at what is register number 7 is where he was stalking in the path. All right, the evidence of a grocery store or any business establishment engaging in the state's pattern of conduct is the evidence of that establishment, that business, that corporation conspiring murder with the government, and it's going to be prosecuted as the people of the state. And the entities engaged in this, Stater Brothers systematically for years has been conspiring my murder, gang stalking me, and doing so with impunity. That's noted at a civil and criminal prosecution in conspiring the murder of an American citizen maliciously as a business. It is currently 9:50 a.m. I am uploading onto the Google Drive the evidence of for November 20th, 2025 on the Stater Brothers Wi-Fi. The entity engaged in what is very disruptive, harassing, loud, banging noises. And doing so as I log onto the Wi-Fi. As I start recording, then you're listening to that conversation in the background. You're listening to the entity, which is maintaining what are means of maintaining noise, but doing so in the more so in the background rather than when they are not being recorded. And the demons don't, but that boat has already sailed. You already know that they're demons. You already know that they're mentally ill. You also already know that they're violent sex offenders obsessed with my vagina. There's no hiding that. The entity's engaged in stalking, and they're doing so until they're raided, until they're arrested, until they're standing in court. And my evidence also shows that. It's currently 9:51 a.m. at 646 West Holt Boulevard, where Stater Brothers is engaged in criminal surveillance. This is P.O.C. This is psychopathic pacing in the store. The context of the specific environment shows you what the demons are actually doing, and all they're doing is stalking, and they're psychopaths that engage in stalking in places like grocery stores. P.O.C.
Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C., and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state.
Alrighty, that's the entity engaging in surveillance, stalking me, and they're doing so just like they were at the entrance at the OVITT Family Community Library, where I'm nowhere near right now, where a population is sharing in surveillance, evident through what is a fake sun. And the entity is engaging in what is actually demonic activity. 9VIE857, 9NTZ067, and this is the entity that is indeed flying over the top of my head. Fake sun is not at 215 EC Street where it was yesterday at 10 o'clock in the morning. We're reminding you about Amazon that's heavily documented gang stalking with law enforcement. This is the entity that is on the internet. I provided a playlist organizing criminal summoning.
with regard to this agency engaging what is stalking me and doing so through the abuse of what is the devices of law enforcement, which this is not. They're doing so in furtherance of the conspiracy to commit murder, while they obviously target in this manner and obviously exhibit demon possession. This is the entity that is going to federal prison. Every demon that's in that playlist regarding criminal summoning and malice, as it's on YouTube and it's also on my website, they're going to prison. This is the entity going out of its way to target me after where David Quinones of the Stater Brothers facilitating terrorism, just like the manager before him. That was a female, and the manager before her, it was a male. Stater Brothers been conspiring my murder with the Ontario Police, the City of Ontario, the Ontario International Airport for years. The entity's engaged in psychopathic pace. That's the entity that's exhibiting mental illness. This is going on the mental illness playlist. And this is the fake sun that you see reflecting off of this windshield in front of me, 8JNN698, while I'm facing what is, I believe I'm facing south. And this is the Ontario shopping plaza where the fake sun's over me in the middle of the afternoon. And it is not over the OVITT Family Community Library where it is yesterday, where the demon possessed opened the entrance of the OVITT Family Community Library to engage in gang stalking me with the Ontario Police Department. The entity is engaged in that while they are keeping evidence also under surveillance. This is the entity that's engaged in criminal summoning. Criminal summoning is putting these demons in prison and the people of the state as well. Okay? P.O.C. It's currently 10:18 a.m. This is not over the OVITT Family Community Library, and it's not ever going to be. It's not the natural environment. It's a specific environment where that agency is proven to be demons who are stalking in furtherance of the publicly exposed conspiracy to murder me, and for which demons like D. Rodriguez, J. Chu, and Rodriguez of the Ontario Police, the latest demons engaged in criminal summoning, they're going to federal prison. And so are the people of the state, such as those at what are the venues such as Starbucks and Woodside Senior Apartments and Economy Inn, where they are sharing in that pattern of conduct with that agency that is engaged in targeting me, following me around, stalking day and night, as my evidence shows. This is P.O.C. It's currently 10:18 a.m. This is the entity that's going to keep a fake sun over me as I walk to the OVITT Family Community Library. Mike LORENZ is mentally ill. He's a demon. All right, and he's and that entire agency is demon infected, and it's going to be disbanded, and it's also going to be subject to what is federal prison for terrorism and facilitating terrorism. This is P.O.C.
Alrighty, I also want to give a note. This is the government that's stalking that you just heard, license 8KOG943. The government that's stalking by helicopter. This is the government that has zero regard for what is actually real life. Mike LORENZ, the demon-possessed, are mentally ill. So they are consumed with what are illusions. Illusions that they rely on to psychologically torture other people and to criminally target other people before they murder them. And so their own mental illness is their actual downfall, because the entity is fully exposed and in real time is witnessing its public meltdown and what's a prosecution for terrorism under all circumstances, while they're stalking and their witchcraft. That's what Mike LORENZ is obsessed with, and it's failed witchcraft against me. It doesn't work. I am capturing evidence as you see them stalking me at the library upon entrance, and I'm not at the entrance, and there's the sun over my head, and you're looking at that pattern of stalking by that agency, which is fully known. 5KVR662 is stalking on behalf of that agency, doing so vicariously in the same way that that agency just flew over the top of my head and flew circles around me, while that fake sun is in a different place than it would be if it was the natural environment and if they weren't already exposed as demons. These demons are engaged in what is relevant. Mentally ill conduct is because of the practice of witchcraft, and this is again exposing what is the Nephilim. It's exposing what is a coven, and they are going to federal prison for terrorism. Their mental illness is the reason for the imprudent conduct upon being documented as evidence, published on the internet, and to be submitted in court to prosecute. And it's prosecuting businesses, it's prosecuting the government, it's prosecuting the population. And this is relevant to the entity that's engaged in that. So the people of the state are gang stalking, license 8JNN698, 7GLS327. The Ontario International Airport that is stalking, as you already see in the images uploaded to the drive. The airport is stalking in the path where there is no, first of all, sun that's going to be over the same Ontario Village shopping center that it is at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, where this entity is targeting, but also with regard to the clear targeting by the government, stalking me in planes and helicopters. in circumstances where I'm showing you the fake sun is in a place where, if that's the natural environment, and of course it's not, because the sun that's over you in Florida is not over me in Ontario at the same time. And you know that it also sets in Ontario, which is also speaking to the fact that the entity has the fake sun over me at the Ontario Village Shopping Center, as opposed to it being over the entrance of the OVITT Family Community Library, where Gregory is going to federal prison. Gregory is gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department, doing so with the people of the state. So is John. So is Alex and Mickey, all those demons of that OVITT Family Community Library, they're going to federal prison while they're targeting with a mentally ill agency that is always exposing that they are stalking in the shoes of the state. 9UPR 317, this is the entity that is stalking, and again, it's failed witchcraft. The Ontario International Airport is being shut down. These are demons that are needing attention, and the intention that they already have is a federal prosecution. 62279W3, the entire Ontario Plaza apartment complex is engaged in criminal surveillance. They're subject to deportation. So is the entire population. So was the Ontario International Airport. Every employee, every federal employee, everybody on that board and the executive team, such as El Khadi. If he's this so-called CEO, he's not a CEO. He's a gargoyle. And he's a gang stalking one. And he's going to be ripped from the ability to make money to engage in terrorism and conspiring by murder. And if he is not a natural born citizen, he's being deported as well. License 6UHK654, 4LQX364. This is the evidence. I want to be clear, while the Ontario police are stalking from place to place, as the entity is doing so with the immigrant population, they're being deported. And so are any immigrants that are working for the Ontario Police Department. License 4LQX364 and 8AIB 669. This is relevant to the entity that's engaging in what is gang stalking, and doing so while they have lost what is relevant with regard to a criminal case. And because the entity is demon possessed, because they're engaged in what is playing games regarding witchcraft, that has to do with prosecuting them with regard to their mentally ill behavior and stalking in this manner as a pattern of conduct as an agency. Okay, that's what's relevant regarding the foolishness. That's what I'm letting you know. Why would someone be so foolish to engage in what is all over the internet, the publicly exposed stalking conduct by this agency? And it's because they are demons. And I want to show you what is the terrorism, the demon that I'm taking a picture of. He's the one that's stalking with the Ontario police this morning at Vesta and C Street. The Ontario police are in a black and white stalking on Vine Avenue while this demon is surrounding in the path in the sky blue shirt. This is and then you have the other female, they're surrounding on foot while the fake sun's over me at Vesta. The fake sun's remaining over me along the same street going back in the opposite direction, and it is all speaking to what is not over the Ontario OVITT Family Community Library while they are stalking as a population. This population is full of immigrants that are being deported, and they're being deported sooner than later. And the Ontario police is not only being disbanded, they are going to be subject to routine mental examinations. The criminal summoning playlist is relevant to exposing all of the terrorists of that agency that are going to federal prison. All right, criminal summoning is gang stalking in the same way that they're stalking by helicopter. They engage in what is approaching me, harassing, terrorizing, battering me, and monitoring. They're engaging in demonic activity while they're engaging in presence in the engineer light and any conversation, all noise, they're monitoring, and they do so while wanting to appear. It's the malicious engagement where they're not even looking or acting like they're fully exposed as gang stalkers. But the demon possessed that are gang stalking engage in what is referred to as criminal summoning while they want to appear as though they're engaged in some execution of the duties of an officer, and they're engaged in the exact opposite. It's gang violence, and they're going to federal prison for criminal summoning. And the ongoing stalking by helicopter is evidence regarding criminal summoning, and federal prison is mandated, and that includes Mike LORENZ, who is mentally ill. They're obsessed with what is failed witchcraft, and their obsession with failed witchcraft is speaking to what is a loss in federal court for terrorism. 8LEE334, psychopathic pacing. P.O.C, and they're doing so on behalf of the Ontario police that are being disbanded. License 5VQA201, 6NYE846, 2CSI03P, that's Idaho plate. All right, license 8LEE334, psychopathic pacing, Latino male. License 7TUR824, psychopathic pacing. These are the demons that are gang stalking at 5 552 Vesta Street the other night, molesting with impossible light. That's exactly what they're doing under a fake sun. They're molesting with impossible light while they're stalking on behalf of the demons that are maintaining helicopter activity around me in circles over my head, doing so while I'm at the Ontario Village Shopping Center, doing so with the gang members of the Ontario International Airport. The police department is being removed, the airport and the fire department, while they're engaging in what is the practice of witchcraft, but I'm prosecuting them regarding mental illness while their criminal targeting system, which is centered on witchcraft, is being exposed. DF29H81 paper. And again, like I stated, the Ontario Plaza apartment complex, the Vesta Del Rosa apartment complex at 552 Vesta Street, license 7AJN723. The 544 Vesta, this is another Vesta Villas, I believe. They're all monitoring. This is speaking to what is a large group of gang stalking residences at one time, their apartment complexes, and they're all engaging in what is relevant positioning while the entity is stalking by helicopter. 9AKF335, and the entire population is subject to what is deportation. 8TON219 engaging in surveillance, sitting in the vehicle in relevant position while I'm reading license plates, while the entity's stalking by helicopter, while the entity's stalking by commercial plane. You have what is this population engaging in surveillance on behalf of the government, obsessively stalking and doing so as mentally ill psychopaths under a fake sun, sharing mental illness, sharing the practice of feckless witchcraft that does not work against me. In fact, it doesn't work against me, and I'm exposing it because it's going to be used in what is the mental examinations of the gang stalkers. That includes Mike LORENZ. Okay? P.O.C. 9AKF335. All right, it is currently 10:23 a.m. Remember, the entity has the fake sun over me while I'm at the United States Postal Service, where the Ontario International Airport is engaging in what is demonic activity. This is relevant to what is the conspiracy to commit murder, while they're doing so in concert with the people of the state who are going to federal prison for gang stalking with the city of Ontario and further into the murder of an American citizen. And that's what's relevant to gang stalking households. License 8 Edward Henry Charlie 824. And this is exactly what David Quinones, Stater Brothers, is what Isaiah is engaging in inside of the Stater Brothers. Gang stalking with the city of Ontario, that's federal prison. Just want to be clear, because he was stalking with the Ontario Police Department the other night while the Ontario Police are stalking with the airport. That wasn't flying over Ontario Plaza. They were flying over the parking lot of Stater Brothers where I was at, stalking under all circumstances, doing so while they're molesting with impossible light, just like they are during the presence of a fake sun. Okay, it doesn't get any more clear with regard to mental illness by demons that are engaging in what is psychopathic group conduct. And this is, again, also direct evidence regarding the mental illness of those that are stalking. This is the same government, by the way, that engaged in what is stealing my property. Stealing my property yesterday, and they're engaged in stalking. The entity, there's no accident or there's no coincidental conduct. This is an entity that is stalking, and the entity that's obsessively monitoring my vagina is the entity that is stealing my property. And the government's going to be prosecuted for that. 9RGX 544, stalking by plane and helicopter, license plate, 6POB 158, 8EHC 824, 6TSU 465. This is Vesta 538, the Vesta Villas, and 544 Vesta Villas at 544 West Vesta Street in Ontario, California. They're gang stalking. 536 Vesta Villas, and that's 536 Vesta Street. That's P.O.C. This dog is audible activity. All right, license 8FGS 647, 9FEN 304, a gang stalker from Cal State Fullerton, a gang stalking institution. 7XFD 156, 7TLY 248, 9SMP 079. This entire neighborhood is going to be subject to deportation. The entirety of the neighborhood. The whole city of Ontario. License 7K67749. License plate 5TBA645. License plate HB476. That's a handicap plate. Routinely documented and stalking on Vesta Street, crossing path again.
9ABR776. These are demons, again, that are speaking to the fact that they do not want to remain in this country, that they hate this country, especially while they are conspiring murder of American citizens with the government. 7MXV298, and they're going to be deported as the enemies of the United States that they are. That's exactly how they're going to be treated. 8BEP294, that's already how they are being treated, and it's appropriate, and they're going to be treated even more, especially as the prosecution of the government is ongoing, and the ongoing systematic shipment of terrorists out of this country is going to be expedited. 85059G2, license 9DUT107. All right, while the entity is stalking me by helicopter at the Ontario Village Shopping Center, that is putting a spotlight on all of the demons at the OVITT Family Community Library, as is always the case. That's what's happening when the entity has the fake sun over the United States Postal Service, and it's putting a spotlight on the demons at the OVITT Family Community Library. 7JTH648. That's what's happening when I'm at the Fontana Lewis Library, and the entity's putting a spotlight on the demons at the OVITT Family Community Library. They are going to federal prison. 8LFE405. And their failed witchcraft is the direct evidence of mental illness with which they're going to be diagnosed and criminally prosecuted, deported, etc. 8EJS744. Stalking in the alley. This is a blackface demon. License plate 8WHL701. License 8LWH907. 16771V3. License 8FPC509. License. This appears perhaps Latino or Middle Eastern, making a U-turn in the middle of the street, which is psychopathic pacing. Is what the Ontario police are doing by helicopter. Pacing. License 8LFE405 at 507 Vesta. Yeah, this demon's license is 9VUP935. Stalking again. Okay, license 9FGW230. These are demons that are, again, they're mentally ill because they're obsessed with what is witchcraft that's going to attack them, their lives, and those that they are connected to. Meanwhile, the prosecution for terrorism is complete, and they're going to prison and they're being deported as well. 7XRD117. Jason Isaac Fields is going to federal prison, because this is terrorism that he is responsible for, that the federal government is responsible for, 32977S1, and that his sex partner that unleashed some sort of sexual voodoo hoodoo, which is not a defense for him. He's a terrorist, and he's going to prison. 8PXP500, license 6PHP657, and he's not getting out of prison. He's not getting out. License TGR4383. Excuse me, 4383, yeah, that's right. 7YBR299, and this TGR4383, that's a Texas plate. These demons at nightfall are stalking with impossible light, maintaining surveillance while I walk through the neighborhood. ML075, handicap at 229 Vine Avenue. 9CXD083 at 233 Vine Avenue in Ontario, California. These are all facilitating venues. And the entity is doing so with regard to the entire population in Ontario, California that's subject to deportation. Domestic enemies that are going to be shipped out of this country. They are a threat to national security. License 36587T2. And so is unstable psychopaths like Jason Fields and Tracy Banks. Unfortunately, they are not easily eradicated, such as just deporting them out of the country. Unfortunately, these are homegrown terrorists, so they are going to federal prison, and I want to be clear, the entity is engaged in what is terrorizing me in the same way that I'm capturing on video as maintaining a whole body of evidence. Jason Fields isn't getting out of prison. There is no negotiating with me. There's no check that's going to, you're not writing me any check. I've provided the evidence, which is putting him necessarily away, just like Mike Lorenz is going away. He's not getting any some sort of lesser penalty. He's going to federal prison. He is not a friend of mine, and he will not be coming into my presence while I'm remaining subject to the system. He is going to federal prison, and this is what the evidence mandates. License 6MJJ575, 8THF215, 8JZS305. He is also severely mentally ill. This is somebody that surmises and still does that there's still some opportunity for the witchcraft to just flip on its head, and then I'm just gonna break down and give in and stop documenting 6SVJ374, not documenting, because this is beyond documenting. I've already proven the case. I'm establishing policy, legislation. It's already proven. Everyone that's aware of my documentation knows that the Ontario Police, above all, because I have more than the San Bernardino County, is targeting. It's a very simple formula. It's something that's unheard of, but it's also it's a very simple formula, because you're very clear on what the sun is, how you can compare it to the environment that you're in, and you're looking at what I'm capturing at the beginning and the end of the day. You're looking at what they're doing in that environment. It's a very simple formula with regard to proving targeting. And then you're looking at the entity that's very heavily documented, engaging in that day in and day out, and day in and day out. You have what is the entity that's engaging in this conduct, and they're delusional. And so is Jason Fields. He is targeting with the Ontario Police Department, with the City of Ontario, as demons who are scared to death. That's not, it's not normal conduct. That's not an explanation or any sort of rationalization. But they are very fearful because they engaged in sex rituals. They engaged in what is summoning up demonic spirits. They engaged in what is conjuring up dark spirits. And they're scared because they are in what is a loop. They're, like I said, this is demonic activity. So the fake sun, the engineer light, the movement in the engineer light, when they're stalking and the engineer light is sweeping across it, this is all witchcraft, okay? They're engaging in it, and that witchcraft does not work. I laugh at it. It's because they look like Looney Tunes. They're bat poo crazy. And not only that, you're shown to be stalking. I don't know who you thought you were going to make look crazy while you're being the crazy one, but it's not working. And you look very ridiculous. And you have a population of unstable people. And their instability is proven even while they're still engaging in it. Do you understand that your pattern of conduct, which is speaking to prosecuting you, there's no imagining anything. There's not going to be some moment whereby, oh no, now all of a sudden it's going to flip, and all that evidence is just going to evaporate, and it's going to flip in Mike Lorenz's favor, and now it's going to look like after 8,000 plus videos that I have just suddenly lost it, and this has been the whole time an illusion of having some pattern of conduct, and actually the whole time it hasn't been a pattern of conduct that's aiding in a prosecution. It's actually showing that I've been imagining it, and that's not it. None of this is real. None of it is actually happening, and also the criminal acts that this agency, that Jason Fields and Tracy Banks committed, such as stealing property that doesn't belong to them, where that person that they stole from was not even present in court. All of that is just going to evaporate. It's just going to melt away. It's just going to disappear, and everybody's going to go on with their lives with my money, and all is going to be well, and the witchcraft is going to work. Okay, that's how unstable they are. That's literally what that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen at all. That's not going to happen if I stop documenting right now. I don't have to capture video of the entity stalking me day and night by helicopter. I have the evidence already. They're going to federal prison. The reason why I'm capturing is because there is policy that needs to surround what Mike Lorenz represents, and what Jason Fields represents, and what Tracy Banks represents, the people of the state. The people of the state whose name you know, who are targeting you with the people of the state whose name you don't know, who maintain businesses like what the OVITT Family Community Library, like what Starbucks represents, any place, Stater Brothers, Carl's Jr., Walmart, all these businesses, McDonald's that I'm documenting targeting. The entities engaged in this, and they represent how an entity operates and how you're going to legislate regarding the malicious tactics of a demon possessed. That is a corrupt. Demon possession is synonymous with what is corruption, because that's the behavior that's manifesting, that's going to result from, in other words, the demon possessed. They're engaging in that which is corrupt. They're engaging in that which is sexually perverted. They're engaging in that which is mentally deranged. And they do it with regard to what is their condition, demon possession, which is evident in that environment, and it's evident in their behavior. Also, it's evident in what is their delusional mindset. The entity is not accomplishing anything other than satiating their very sick obsession with me. It just makes you feel better as a demon-possessed person, a dead person, a zombie, to fly over me, and it makes you feel better because that's all. That's the long and short of it. They're going to be treated for mental examinations for that, however.
58479F3. It is under no circumstances helping with regard to what is any sort of witchcraft that's going to do anything other than it already is returning right back to the demons of the Ontario Police Department. Those are demons. They're witches and warlocks. All right, they're demon possessed. They are a part of what is a sex cult. This is the Nephilim, okay? They're engaged in criminal activity, and I have maintained my own investigation, and I already proved it beyond a reasonable doubt. They are engaged in what is delusional, as though they're stopping something. They're telling themselves that they're slowing down their prosecution, that they're slowing down, that they're stifling my progress. It's literally my case that is already made by them stalking. If they weren't stalking me by helicopter, I would not have any video documentation to publish. That would be the end of an investigation, because there's no material. Like, these are demons that are very inept, okay, in every regard, and that's because they are demons. But I want to be clear, the malicious purpose and intent, the mindset, the sick mindset, this is relevant to what is obstruction of justice, because it's one thing for the government to engage in targeting an American citizen to murder that person. And it's also another thing, which is relevant under the law, that the government does that in the face, conspicuously in the face of that American citizen that it knows is documenting it. You're going to prison for that. And it's not different because Jason Fields is not wearing an Ontario police uniform. He's going to prison while he is targeting with that agency. That agency is the one that's being focused on because Ontario Police is the one that's committed kidnappings. That's why. They're not different from LAPD. They're not different from Fontana PD. They're not different from Rialto PD, San Bernardino PD, Upland PD. They're not different, and my body of evidence shows that. Ontario Police, just like D. Rodriguez, just like Joseph Valencia and Vivanco, just like Hazelwood, just like B. Hook, Nathan Morgan, C. Torres, and L. Martinez, just like A. Morris and Corporal Kemp, Jason Knighton and Lester Keys, S. Patty, they engaged in what is kidnapping and battery. They're going to prison for that, and they're being disbanded. Okay, that's where LAPD and the Ontario Police Department have a very subtle distinction. But I want to be clear, the entity is gang stalking you with the intent to kidnap. It's just that LAPD didn't actually engage in that. The Ontario Police Department did, and Mike LORENZ is going to prison for that. Mike LORENZ is going to prison while you're looking at a pattern of targeting by the city of Ontario. And the entity is engaging in this while their mental illness is put at the forefront of their prosecution. Okay, this is the entity that's engaging in a clear-cut pattern of conduct, and the entity's mental illness is based on what the world needs to know is failed witchcraft. They are delusional with regard to obstructing what is actual process of a criminal case. By engaging in more stalking, they are telling themselves that this is slowing down what is their ability to be prosecuted in court. That's literally what their rationale is. While they engage in, this is demonic activity. While you hear the entity stalking by airport, it's an admission that they're stalking at 404 C Street, because that's where the fake sun is at. That's where the entity is stalking by airport, 404-A. This is a facilitating venue where the entity is stalking as a government in concert with the people of the state who are in the path on the roads and the highways, stalking as an entity, doing so while I am going from place to place. That's why the sun's not over the OVITT Family Community Library. And it's going to be over the OVITT Family Community Library as I go to that venue. But that's not the natural environment. And that's how you know that Gregory is a psychopath, because what he's stating inside of the library yesterday, oh, no, I don't hear any, no helicopter, I didn't hear any helicopter. He's doing so under the fake sun that is there for the purpose of his gang stalking me, 89908D4. He is working for the duration of the day under a fake sun that's setting where he works. This is an entity that is mentally ill and psychotic with regard to what is also a maniacal feature regarding their psychopathy, and they're engaging in what is ongoing monitoring while failing at what is maintaining any plausible sense of ignorance. There is no airport takeoffs. There are no sunrise and sunset that's going to occur at the Ontario OVITT Family Community Library. And that's also the case while I'm far away from the OVITT Family Community Library and the fake sun's not over that venue. Okay, this is also not over the United States Postal Service, which is where it was at, where I am 48 hours ago at 10:24 a.m. And so what are they walking in and out under? Those are demons who are pacing. While the entity was acting like they were taking off on Holt Boulevard. While you're hearing the plane activity, while I'm in front of license plate 4WDH556, a gang stalking third party. Who is subject to it? What is a citywide means, in other words, if you just limit it down, but this is statewide. Deportation applies with regard to a prosecution for terrorism, with regard to what is also mental illness while a population shares in targeting. Okay, that's why the fake sun is over some third party's random home. It's not a random home, it's a facilitating venue where they're all poised to maintain that pattern of conduct with the government that's stalking everywhere in planes and helicopters throughout the whole city. 7S 41783, 9NHU 669. Jason Fields is going to federal prison. This is somebody that has engaged in targeting me with the Ontario Police Department, and this demon did so thinking that he was going to avoid federal prison, avoid prosecution, avoid exposure for targeting me and stealing from me with his sex partner Tracy Banks and the state of California. He actually, in his mind, he's a demon. He's sick. He's not a man. He's a demon. That's a psychopath. He actually, in his mind, surmised that it would be a good idea to engage in gang stalking me and defaming my character, and that was going to slow down the wheels of justice against him, and that was going to be license 75744B2, that's UPS, that's gang stalking, and the entities engaging in what is targeting on behalf of Jason Fields is going to federal prison. Remember, Jason Fields is targeting me with the Los Angeles Police Department. Jason Fields is targeting me with the Pasadena Police Department. Jason Fields is targeting me along with the Monrovia Police Department, along with the Chino Police Department, along with San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, along with the Upland Police Department. Jason Fields is targeting as I am subject to this pattern of conduct, and he's the one that's engaged in what is seeking to profit from defaming my character and doing things like placing cameras in my home, while this entity that's stalking it as an airport and stalking as a police department enjoys watching my vagina on the internet, engaging what is sex rituals. This is what Mike LORENZ is actually about. He's going to be subject to what is a federal prosecution in the same way that Jason Isaac Fields is. Sex offenders, these are not men, they're demons. Fields and LORENZ are going to prison, and Fields is not getting 6 months in prison. I have been prosecuting with regard to maintaining my investigation of Fields targeting me while he's been stealing from me. I've been maintaining an ongoing investigation since 2018. And you're getting more time than that in federal prison. I've been in and out being kidnapped by this agency, and he's been doing so with every police department. He's going to prison. I just want to make sure that that's clear while this demon goes out of its way to fly in circles over the top of my head, and there's a whole laundry list of demons that are going to prison. And they're not going to prison behind schedule. They're going to prison, and they're going to prison on schedule, and so is LORENZ. So are the people of the state. So are the people of the state. So are the demons inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. Remember when I'm walking out at 10:40 a.m. and that fake sun's at the back end of that library? But yet when I walk into the entrance, it's at the entrance and it stays at the entrance. That's what I'm showing you at 12:38 p.m. It's still at that same entrance. I'm not even at the library where they're flying over the top of my head and I'm capturing this, and it's after 10 o'clock in the morning and the entity is maintaining the fake sun over an entirely different location. That's a means of identifying what are demons, and their illusions with regard to the environment where they're stalking as a population is relevant to their mental illness. And their failed witchcraft is not actually delaying any criminal case against them. That's what's wrong with the entity that's stalking as a police department. They have told themselves literally that stalking me is delaying justice. And this is why Mike LORENZ is getting more time in prison. This is already a proven case. This is relevant to what is enhancement. It's relevant to enhancement for every kidnapper. It's relevant to enhancement for the people of the state. They're not just going to prison. Fields is not just going to prison. They're going to prison for enhanced terms. Remember, because of my case regarding obstruction of justice. Not only is it not slowing down, they're going to prison and they are not getting out. They are not getting out. Not only did Fields steal from me so that I would be in this position outside so that the terrorists can stalk me day and night, all right, and engage in what is harassment, which they engage in surmise is going to help them with their witchcraft tactic. I'm not going anywhere, but they are. They're going to prison. And many of them, you're going to witness them dropping dead, their children dropping dead, their significant others that they're connected to dropping dead. And that's because of the witchcraft that they've been practicing, and that they did not stop practicing when they were given plenty of warning. The fact that I'm doing perfectly fine, the fact that I'm still documenting, the fact that in other words, those demonic spirits aren't working, that's a warning. That doesn't mean that you should continue doing it. That means that something is happening that you haven't seen before, and maybe you should slow down. The mentally ill that are demon-possessed, they didn't do that. Now, that's nothing for the federal government to be concerned of. When they drop dead, that's just what they summoned on themselves. But as far as federal prison, they're going to prison. They can die in their cell, but they're not dying out in freedom. And gang stalking me was never going to result in that. This has always been from the outset. My documentation of the Ontario Police stalking me since 2018, as a matter of documentation, Mike LORENZ is going to prison, and so is Derek Williams, and so is Jason Fields. And they're not getting out. All right, it's currently, just want to be clear, because this is what's relevant regarding the mental illness of the demons that are stalking as an airport. That's not slowing down the fact that the airport is being shut down, the fact that the population is subject to deportation, the fact that you're going to be in court. The entity that's engaging in that sort of theory is one that's relying upon the fact that the federal government is corrupt and are full of demons as well. Now, you already know one of them, his name is Fields. He's going to prison. He's going to be dealt with. The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct, and there is no witchcraft that's going to slow down. Christ Jesus remains in complete control. And every demon that's been engaged in targeting, you are getting what is a federal sentence, and you're getting a prolonged federal sentence. Okay, the entity has to target me, and it's literally the Ontario Police Department's ongoing criminal targeting as to why I'm outside for them to stalk me in helicopters day and night in the first place. Where do you think you're going? You're going to prison. You are going to federal prison, and so is your group sex partner, Tracy Banks, who's had sex with only the federal government will tell in court how many of the Ontario Police Department she has already engaged in sex rituals with. Because they're stalking me, and she's going to prison. She's going to prison. They're demons. License 9MCP204, 8ZAV 858, 9HOS 644. This is the entity that's engaging in this conduct, and Tracy Banks' mental illness is proven through what is targeting in this psychopathic manner, and it's shared by a population, including 8PBT477. You don't have to know the demon's name. You know the specific environment, and they're engaging in that while the government is confirming by stalking me in the neighborhood where there's no airports that are landing or taking off. If that were the case, what is Alaska Airlines doing from the same airport on Holt Boulevard? All right, while I'm at Sinopec, and the entity is engaging in this while they are, again, with a straight face, lying to themselves because they're demons. They're mentally ill. You're not slowing down any case. You're not slowing down anything. That doesn't make any. The Ontario Police. They are not even on They're not even on any sort of. They can't even spell federal prosecution. They're not controlling any federal prosecution. They are being. They're going to be overwhelmed in federal court with evidence, and they are going to be silent. They're going to be silent because that's how potent the evidence is. And they're going to prison. But it will be noted that the entity engaged in this, and that's what's behind that. That's why you have that level of obvious conduct, because they're more obsessed with witchcraft that's not working, witchcraft that's returning to the sender. And it includes the demons of the Ontario Police. License 6WKR 851. P.O.C. Ontario Police and Jason Fields engaged in heavy sexual activity with Tracy Banks, and they're going to federal prison for gang stalking me in furtherance of murder with her. P.O.C.
Alrighty, it is current time is 10:55 a.m. right here. And this is out here with traffic. You can see the Wells Fargo. All right, the infamous Wells Fargo, where the fake sun was not at any point over Ontario Town Square, while it was over me were the airport and the police. All right, just for lack of a better term, understanding the agency that goes as terrorists and as stalkers who are demon possessed, and they're going to be subject to mental examinations regarding their demon possession and their inability to refrain from stalking and conspiring the murder of somebody that proved all of the above. This is the entity that doesn't have any sun over the OVITT Family Community Library as well. That's also what you're going to pay attention to. This is the intersection of Laurel, very heavily documented here, Laurel and C Street. And I want you to see, fake sun is reflecting off of the front windshield of this vehicle while facing what is west. The west end of this vehicle, okay? It's not on the back portion of that windshield, meaning it's not over the entrance of the OVITT Family Community Library. And you're looking at it, no, you're looking at it right here. And this is after it's over me, where the Ontario police are stalking me by helicopter at the Ontario Village Shopping Center at Bonita. All right, this is the entity that's engaged in criminal summoning, and I will connect those videos. There is under no circumstances in a natural environment or anything other than the entity that is gang stalking. Gang stalking is shown through what is the ongoing investigation that I maintain regarding what is criminal summoning. The Ontario Police Department are going to be subject to federal prison while they're gang stalking me as an agency and utilizing criminal summoning as a tactic to do so. And on this very same street during the 6 a.m. hour, the entity is keeping the fake sun, the same street where it is, it's 10:57, which would be 11:57 during daylight savings time when I documented the same intersection with a bunch of demons pacing on this street. And under what is, again, not sunlight, because this isn't the sun. And you'll also recall the documentation. This is the entity that stole my laptop, okay? Whether they steal $5 headphones, whether they steal an umbrella, regardless of how much it is, whether they steal a $2,500 laptop, they're going to be prosecuted. It's while they're conspiring your murder on behalf of the government. And they're engaged in surveillance under a fake sun that's over the same address. State actor, 7UZF055. And they're all being deported. All of them. They're enemies of the country. You see that impossible light? They're enemies, and they are openly exposing that. And this is where the entity was maintaining police training with the people of the state that steal property on behalf of the government, 9PZF062, stalking with impossible light activity, while they were maintaining police training. And the entity has the fake sun that was rising right here. And the demons were carrying large bazookas and guns. And those demons that are stalking me by helicopters day and night, if you'll look at that video, that was July 14, 2025 during daylight savings time, the fake sun is over me, which is what that was a means of what is, again, criminal summoning, relevant to police training, is relevant to what is claiming that you're present as police officers, having something to do with what is training, something regarding execution of duties of officers. 5YXK. I can't really see that one. This is under no circumstances the natural environment. The Ontario police are being disbanded. I documented all those gang members in this parking lot during the 7 a.m. hour. There is no natural environment where it would still be over the same location. Not only is it over the same location, it's over me, which is evident, like I stated, that those are demons that are psychopaths. They engage in stalking in helicopters, and they also laugh hysterically at that. They're going to be subject to mental examinations. They're demons just like the people of the state. 8SZG560, maintaining surveillance in their homes, where they work, on the roads and the highways, doing so while the entity is engaging in what is conduct, speaking to what is targeting by that agency, where the sun's not over the library like it was yesterday as I come out of the Page 1 Inn Cafe and I walk up toward the entrance, and the entity has the fake sun over that library. This is the pattern of conduct. The Ontario police are demon possessed. Now that's relevant to what is mentally ill, and they are conspiring murder while they practice what is a fully exposed state system regarding the practice of witchcraft, where the demon-possessed sacrifice American citizens. That is conspire their murder, as you refer to it in legal terms. This is P.O.C. The entity is stalking at the Stater Brothers Ontario Village Shopping Center, and also doing so while I'm under surveillance en route back to that same position, to that same venue of the OVITT Family Community Library, where there is no sun. But I'm already documenting. I want to be clear. This is an unintelligent illusion, because in the evening inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, the entity is making it seem as though the sun is also setting 7 hours from now, and that the sun is so low that it's in alignment to my face inside of that OVITT Family Community Library. This is breaking down that illusion as well. This is P.O.C. It is currently 11 a.m. on the dot. This is the basis for what is deporting 7XRU818 enemies. Let me show you how you're looking at a psychopath. P.O.C. They're pacing together under what is not the sun. This is state surveillance. And this is a conspiracy to murder. This is relevant to Tracy Banks's heavily sexually involved relationship with the demons of the Ontario Police Department. She has a heavy sexual relationship with Jason Fields, the federal government, the state government that's engaged in what is targeting me. Okay? This is P.O.C. The entity is maintaining this pattern of conduct while UPS is pacing, Vestas is pacing. These are corrupt businesses. These are demons stalking with light in the path. This is the entity that's engaged in that behavioral pattern, very demented, while the demons stalk with light. This is what they're doing at nightfall when the fake sun is not present and multiple shadows are all over the ground, and they're stalking with impossible light. Your headlights aren't going to touch me from this distance, and they're stalking with light right now. This is the daytime version of it, and that's mental illness. Okay, this is P.O.C. The entity is going to be deported. The entity is going to be removed from office. That's Paul Leon. The entity is going to be subject to federal prison. That's Mike Lorenz, Derek Williams. Those are the gang stalkers engaging in criminal summoning, the ones that are stalking with that government, because that's what 6 CKB 417 is engaging in. P.O.C. It is currently 11:01 a.m. This is, let's just count duration of time, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And during 6 of that will be 5 o'clock outside of daylight savings time. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, that's a 6-hour difference. This is stalking. 15488 Mary 2. Stalking by population, and they're all demons. They're all demons. Okay? This is what you need to pay. The environment is speaking to. It is categorical. Mental illness. P.O.C. Alrighty, this is stalking, and Ontario police are right here as well. Okay, as I'm capturing images of the people of the state. This is 1107 fake sun progressing down the street. This is surveillance driving an engineered light in the shade. Psychopath, that's a demon. And so are all of them. This is a population, and the population is engaged in what is stalking in commercial planes. But you're taking off at 1630 East Holt Boulevard. Says Alaska Airlines at that address under the fake sun, which is over me and not over the OVITT Family Community Library, and it's also not on Holt Boulevard. That's also not a takeoff from the airport. While you're hovering miles away from the airport, deviating, and they're also, remember, flying much, much more west to be over the Stater Brothers parking lot, where demons are stalking, driving a light that's manifesting in the shade, driving under things like a fake sun. This is a mentally ill population, okay? P.O.C., let me show you what's behind the vehicle of a demon-possessed person that's stalking you in furtherance of murder, and they're being deported. 6 EJU 475, this is mental illness. They're going to prison, they're being deported. This is P.O.C. This is what the Ontario police are stalking in as well. As soon as this demon sounds plane activity, Ontario police in 2 vehicles crossing path, stalking just like them. Okay, P.O.C., it is currently, just want to be clear, 9SIY 688, state surveillance. 8Y46984, state surveillance. Monitoring communication devices, and they're engaged in vagina monitoring while the entity keeps a fake sun over the OVITT Family Community Library all day long while I'm in there. P.O.C. License 9PTK041 9ATE391. This is the state system. This is, again, 11 o'clock in the morning, not one time over the square today when I don't go there. That's the entity that's stalking at that airport, stalking by flying over the Ontario Town Square where that fake sun is over me, coming from what is Stater Brothers where they're stalking over there, stalking by helicopter while that fake sun remains over me en route to where it was already yesterday at an earlier hour. This is the absurdity of the demon possessed and their failed witchcraft, and its evidence regarding what is mental illness in the prosecution of the domestic terrorists in the United States. They are going to be subject to deportation. It's a matter of national security. The demon possessed that are stalking in planes, that are stalking in helicopters, that are stalking as agencies masquerading as police departments, they're not. The fake sun is over me at 11 o'clock. This is where they were supposedly engaged in police training at 6 and 7 in the morning on July 14, 2025. The sun is never going to be over the same location. This is also not in Florida, and if that were the natural environment, that would speak to the exclusion of any other place. It's not. It's the pattern of conduct, and the entity has the fake sun in the same position where it is supposedly while it's setting in alignment to me, while this psychopath Mickey is walking on engineer light inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, as though the sun is also going to be in alignment to my face inside of that library, sitting at computer station number 1. This is mental illness. And all you're doing is breaking down what is an obvious, idiotic, and asinine crime scene. And they're practicing witchcraft. Their witchcraft is returning to sender. This is P.O.C. Okay? It is currently 11:10 a.m. where federal stalking is underway on the roads and the highways by the Ontario Police Department. And they're engaging in that with the Ontario International Airport, which is being shut down. P.O.C. Alrighty, stalking by demons, which is stalking by the mentally ill. License. You have immigrants out here with no license plates. Again, the more reason to deport them. The criminal activity of the Ontario Police Department, the more reason to deport them. It is currently 11:11 a.m. All the video evidence that you just listened to is relevant to all the documented stalkers. License plate 93827 Thomas 1, 9FBB 584. 78313N2 33888 OF1, 33880F1, excuse me. 7FZD 925 52352. Handicap. That's a handicap license plate, and they're actually all handicapped. They're all mentally ill. All right, the entity maintains its own little hierarchy regarding handicap status, which is where they're actually just abusing the system, getting money and benefits when they're all engaging in surveillance, by the way. 6MQL609 ELREEPR. And the fake sun following now, no longer moving what is down what is C Street. 6MQL609 is stalking with the Ontario Police. This is a female. And they all are. They're stalking with the Ontario Police. That's conspicuously stalking. So let me show you this agency. And they're doing so under the fake sun. Remember, while I'm at the downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments at the fake sunrise at 6 in the morning, this is where the entity has the fake sun over me right here. This is at the U.S. Bank. Alex Escobar is gang stalking into the fake sun. He's going to prison. The entity is flying over the top of my head by helicopter at the U.S. Bank during the 9 a.m. hour. It's 11:12 a.m. That's 12:12 p.m. during daylight savings time. Alex Escobar is going to federal prison. And these are demons that are engaging in that, doing so from corner to corner. Ontario Police, that's fine because they're going to prison. You're obviously stalking and you're going to be obviously prosecuted in court and mentally assessed. And so are the people of the state targeting with that agency. License 6BVA282, 9BUR635. Gang stalking at what is D Street and Euclid Avenue. All right, doing so while the entity is stalking by airplanes, P.O.C. Alrighty, it is currently, like I stated, 11:13 a.m. I'm capturing images of that. This is P.O.C. This is letting you know the population on whose behalf the people are stalking. 6BVA282, 9JZF997, 7LGY297, 8ULU482, 8YFV997. And the entity is maintaining, don't forget what, like I stated, Leonida Builders, who else? You have, here's the fake sun over me at D Street. And I want you to see at this intersection, Ontario Police are stalking in the path, just like I'm capturing during the 8 a.m. hour. And those demons are stalking on this same street by video. And the demons are stalking with the possible light across the downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments. The entity has the fake sun over me on this same street, okay? That's the entity that's engaging that stalking by helicopter, doing so while they are in your face like what the demons are doing when they're engaged in criminal summoning. Oh, Burtnick, I got a call that you were trying to break into a building. No, you did not. You lying, fat-faced demon. He's going to prison. They're engaging in surveillance just like the Ontario Police is, as I'm documenting. And the entity that's supposedly telling them this, which are lies, but that's not the point right now. The point is you're not being told anything. You're engaged in stalking. And they're conspicuously stalking in that specific environment while the people of the state are going to prison right along with them. They're going to mental asylums right along with them. All right, P.O.C. Glorias Cochinas is stalking, 04333Z2. Glorias Cochinas, you know that. The entity is stalking me nightly and on a ceaseless basis while I'm at the sleeping on this bench out here, and the entity is stalking by that police department, doing so at every place where I'm sleeping, at the museum, at the DeBoer Professional Building, doing so at Tracy Banks' apartment, doing so while I'm remaining at the bus stop. This is where the entity is stalking. They're going to prison. 9DDC 659 is stalking with the Ontario Police. That's engaged in surveillance on D Street in alignment to me while the fake sun is moving, and so is the airport stalking along Euclid Avenue. 24356 Frank 4. 9 Edward Thomas Wendy 273. 7 Mary 0 Uncle 850. License plate 9 PID 568. License plates. And what you're looking at also, don't forget, what you're looking at, well, it's not a matter of forgetting, but it's a matter of recognizing the identical pattern of conduct. Vivanco, that's molesting with impossible light while I'm at the 415 North Euclid Avenue barber shop, okay? At 12 o'clock in the morning, while he's across the street in the parking lot of the downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments, your headlights are not touching from that distance, okay? No one's are. No one's headlights are blinding. That's not how these vehicles, that's not how we're on the roads and the highways driving, blinding each other, obviously, okay? Been driving for years. The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct while they're stalking with impossible light. That's what the entity is doing under a fake sun. They're all stalking with impossible light. You're looking at what is, again, categorical. Mental illness, all of them. This is mental illness. This is criminal conduct, it's public corruption, but you're looking at vast mental illness, including the demons of the Ontario Police. Stalking with impossible light while the fake sun's over me, and they're stalking in the path at D Street in Euclid while I'm documenting the entity. Michael Lorenz is going to prison for what you're going to analyze the stalking conduct of the entity, the stalker that's going to threaten you in your face. That's the stalker that's going to prison. And many of those stalkers' names you already know: Burtnick, J. Chu, Rodriguez, and D. Rodriguez, Hazelwood and Owens. The entity that's engaging in what is kidnapping, engaging in what is harassment, engaging in what is criminal summoning, in other words, any iteration of it. They're engaging in the communication of an unlawful threat, and they do so as though you're looking at, they're not wearing different masks, they're all wearing the same mask. They are delusional with regard to, I'm talking about this, and I wasn't there on that day. These demons are delusional. They really, really, really are. And you know that because the whole fake sun is over somebody that's wearing a police uniform, and that's engaging in what is stalking in that police vehicle. And it's literally unique to me because the fake sun is in a manner of positions proving that that's the reason for your presence, and it's criminal presence, and it's in conformity to a pattern of conduct, while that agency is also engaged in what is a documented pattern of abuse, of harassment, of defamation, and of kidnapping. All right, that's the entity that's doing so, while the people of the state, they're sharing in that threat, and they're going to prison as well. By the way, none of this is over the OVITT Family Community Library. 9HAW548, license 6SAT 048, license plate 9NBF343, 8KGT 602, 6YSM 794, 7VEN 800. They're all maintaining presence with the state that is conspicuously stalking Ontario Police, engaged in surveillance at D Street and Euclid. License 9MJE130, while the fake sun remains over my head, going in the direction back toward the bus stop where it was over me this morning. License plate 8EJS744, license 9VIN782. The mentally ill are surrounded with the evidence of their mental illness and their criminal conduct at the same time. 8RGP934, 9CIV683, 6TXM239, 7UT0979. A mentally ill police department is a disbanded police department. License plate 8MNF771, in case I didn't read that one. 8HGL686, 8DXS254, 9ETZ914, 1450520, Ontario Montclair School District, a threat to children, violent psychopaths and sex offenders, engaging in the pattern of conduct, 9SFA395, 8CWG225, 9DEJ732, 8TJT264, 01722W3, 9LWW497. All right, Bethel Congregation, Chevron, you already know that. ARCO, the entity that's gang stalking while the fake sun is supposedly rising. Okay, well, I'm on the same street where when you can look at the video, the fake sun over me at 11 o'clock in the morning. This is how you know that they're stalking. These are demons whose unintelligent conduct is the evidence of their mental illness and their criminal activity. Gang stalking, potential immigrants, license 53759P2. And they're doing so with the Ontario Police Department. The one that's stalking me by helicopter, doing so overtly, doing so very foolishly, doing so as a pattern, and the immigrants are being deported. License 8HYK317, 8TYK262. All they're doing is engaging in maintaining presence in the path. JRUPPRT.
All right, that's the significance of the pedestrians and the fake sun and the engineered light. That's the significance of traffic and the fake sun and the engineered light. And it's the same at nightfall. 7DAD 024, 9MCZ 638, stalking in the path, license plate. 9CVR 836, P.O.C. doing so with the Ontario International Airport. License 40757X2, that's UPS. That's the fourth one. UPS is going out of its way. Again, demons seeking attention. License plate 1632278, that's the City of Ontario. Gang stalking with the City of Ontario is UPS. UPS is a murderer. So this is witchcraft. This is a personality that literally is desperate for attention from me. So this is, and it's surveillance. So it's not a coincidence. It's ongoing intentional conduct by demons that are repeatedly crossing paths by UPS over and over and over and over again. UPS is corrupt. Everybody knows that UPS is engaged in gang stalking. Everybody knows that UPS is operated by the demon possessed. They're vagina monitoring gargoyles. That's the attention that UPS wants. That's what you're getting. You're being prosecuted. And they are murderers. They engaged in murder in Kentucky. License 9FPX 481. Stalking with the airport. Stalking with the City of Ontario. License 9CGX 316. And it's 11:22 a.m. Alrighty, this is the fake sun, and I want to show you. This is UPS that's stalking in the path. This is light activity, and this is a demon. This is the bus stop where they're stalking, and the fake sun's over me. The fake sun that's over rising in alignment to me at 7 in the morning. And this is, again, UPS that engages in what is stalking using its planes as well, also operated by demons. The airport is simultaneously stalking while this is a demonic flashing of light in the engineered environment under the fake sun that's over me in the morning. Like I documented today, 8 a.m. is also a prolonged period of time. It's speaking to surveillance, but you're talking about I captured the fake sun and this population stalking while I'm at a bus stop, and the entities engaging what is stalking also by helicopter while I'm at that bus stop upon a sunrise during the 7 a.m. hour. This is that pattern of conduct, okay? This is surveillance, 9CGX316, and this is mental illness. Listening and stalking, because that's why the fake sun is there. That's why the engineer light. This is the population of demons that are stalking with impossible light at nightfall, and they're engaging in surveillance now. And so are you. You are psychotic when you're stalking and monitoring. You can keep your head down and engage in. They don't have to say a word. They're stalking at the population of demons, and this is the threat to the public. These are the serial killers that maintain an outward demeanor when you're ignorant about their purpose, about what their engagement is, and they're doing so. I just want to be clear. Monitoring with the camera, monitoring with the government that's stalking by planes, and doing so with the government that is UPS that's stalking in the path under a fake sun that's over me at this same bus stop at 7 in the morning. This is P.O.C, and so is every business, okay? This is the pattern of conduct. It's currently 11:24 Hensley Torta, targeting by that airport, and this is the mentally ill. She's pacing, so that you know that. This is psychopathic pacing, and doing so while she's creating light activity, getting in and out of her car. That's a mentally ill psychopath. Unfit for the medical field. Again, license 9CGX316, and that's going to be the treatment for all of the terrorists. They're not only being deported, but they are being removed from areas where they pose a threat to the public. I want you to see the entity stalking. There's no takeoffs from behind the Bethel congregation. This is indeed a psychopath, P.O.C. Monitoring together with the population, that's P.O.C. This is Hensley Torta. They're also stalking when I am being molested with impossible light. Everybody inside of the Hensley Torta venue is engaged in that P.O.C. And this is severe mental illness. She got out of the car, back in the car to turn it back on, in sync with the demons that are stalking by airport. And again, does not address you. And you don't have to. If you say something to me, I'm going to prosecute that as well. But this is an entity that's engaging in that conduct. This is nothing other than the elements of monitoring. P.O.C. Very severely mentally ill. It's demon possession. P.O.C. It is 11:25 a.m. Alrighty, I'm capturing video, as you can hear. License 9CGX316 is monitoring as an entity. A demon-possessed one. 9KHY001, this is what UPS is sharing in. The fake sun, you could see it over me on the same sidewalk. I described it through the video, but I'm going over what I just went over in the video. The sidewalk is where I'm getting up at 537 North Euclid Avenue. That's where I'm documenting the fake sun. The fake sun was over me while a population of stalkers, demons, were engaged in surveillance, obsessing over me. Stalking. The fake sun is over me at 11, where UPS is stalking, monitoring, and maliciously using a business as the guise of that ongoing state system. And so is a demon that is relevant, dressed in what is scrubs, speaking to threatening the lives of American citizens as a demon that's engaged in psychopathic conduct in furtherance of murder, conspiring another's murder that you're stalking with, and you're doing so while you are exhibiting that level of mental illness, not looking at you, but obsessively targeting, fully aware of your presence. That's why the fake sun is there. That demon is wearing scrubs. Those are the ones that are committing murder, not just the ones that are stalking in UPS planes. The ones that are in the medical field wearing scrubs. License 9KHY001, 73321G1, 35065L2, DD24U30 paper. All right, and as, again, license 9PJF542, and this license 73321G1, they're all stalking. Mission Furniture is stalking, and I already have the evidence of them stalking, including during the same time of year. December of 2022, the entity has the fake sun over me at American Inn. I check out American Inn, the fake sun remains over me. I go to the B&G Plaza. This is already on the record, well into the evening. They're all stalkers, including these demons that are engaged in that, and doing so while it's being documented. My evidence isn't just starting this week or just starting this year. All right, this is the entity that's already surrounded. The Ontario Police, the Ontario Fire Department, the people of the state are subject to what is a conclusive and comprehensive prosecution, 71233D4. They're all being deported, right? Because it's already proven that they're engaging in this system. So anyone engaging in this system as an immigrant is out. You're being shipped out, and my evidence is speaking to what is a cause for celebration. Not any cause for mercy, not any cause for second guessing or doubting whether they should be. No, they're being deported, and this is a vital aspect with regard to the protection of the American public. 8LKZ677. They are also engaging in that with regard to the mental illness behind stalking as a police department, stalking as a fire department. The entities engaging in that while they're stalking as an airport, stalking with a bunch of demons that are obsessively stalking, license 13020M3. This is exactly what they engaged in yesterday. The two Latina females stalking in the same alley, lying in wait conduct, very mentally ill, looking perplexed. Mental illness is exhibited there. This is the pattern of conduct by demons that are stalking the airport, the helicopter, the entity stalking by police vehicles, and then looking perplexed. You're going to use that to diagnose mental illness. These are demons that are psychotic. License plate, again, I document that demon's license plate. Let me read it again. Stalking in the path with regard to the same alley, engaged in the same pattern. License 13020M3. Stalking in the path on behalf of the state. Obsessive stalking that is shared by a population. And this is Mission Furniture, okay, where I'm at. Last night, that's what the demons are doing while I document it upon my exit of the venue. The Ontario Police are stalking obsessively, just like they are now. They're stalking obsessively. They're doing so as soon as I walk out. Ontario Police crossing path, driving around the perimeter, stalking with these demons. License 8HKL849. And as I continue walking down the street, I documented these two homosexual predators stalking a woman, lying in wait in the middle of the night, waiting to touch her with impossible light, which is what they're all doing under a fake sun. They're all touching. It's not even the natural environment that's going to be prosecuted as a sex offense that precedes murder committed as an entity. But the entity's engaging in this, and he's doing the exact same thing that the two demons last night. Lying in wait, lying in an alley so that they can molest with impossible light. Psychopaths. While the airport is stalking, while the police department is stalking, and stalking in concert with the demon possessed. They're all engaging in what is their ongoing role. All they're doing is pacing around an engineer light, and they're doing so while they are admitting to what is stalking me, because this is under no circumstances aiding in what is slowing down any case. These are delusional psychopaths whose mental illness is literally on the front page of the news. So in other words, like, it's not a secret, it's not closeted, it's not subtle, all right? And it's relevant to prosecution for criminal conduct, not just criminal conduct, but mental illness. That's what this is exposing. 9KEH523. And the mentally ill are going to be plagued with that in their record. It's going to be plagued with, that's going to be relevant to deporting them, to removing them from areas of society where they pose a threat. 6T460888, excuse me. License plate 9KNS466. 7BEG043.
It's 11:30 a.m. by the way. 9CVN 087. Alrighty, want you to see, here's the fake sun right here. Just so you can see very clearly. This is indeed the fake sun. And this is where I'm capturing the same parking lot. This is not over Tracy Banks' apartment. This is what the entity was routinely engaging in while the entity was rising and setting the fake sun. All right, rising and setting the fake sun while I'm inside of Woodside Senior Apartments, which is in this direction over here. And I stood at this same during the 5 p.m. hour, and the Ontario police engaged in conspicuous stalking, very foolish behavior where they're failed witchcraft, and I documented their ongoing obsession with failed witchcraft because they've been doing it for a long time, and so I have a whole body of evidence of them stalking. And I stood here while you already saw that fake sun over me right now, and this is where the entity has a fake sun over me during the 5 p.m. hour where the sun is not going to be still at one place, let alone over one person. It's currently 11:32 a.m. I'll connect that video for you, where this is where the airport is stalking as I'm walking north up Euclid Avenue. This is where a population is stalking amongst that environment with the entity that's stalking by helicopter like you saw at the Ontario Village Shopping Center. The entity's engaging in this while they are keeping it, while you see over me at this parking lot where the fake sun is still over me at 5 p.m. and the Ontario police are in that video also stalking by helicopter, conspiring my murder, and their conspiracy to murder me is relevant to their failed practice of witchcraft, for which they are going to be mentally assessed. It's their mental illness that's put at the forefront regarding that prosecution. And the entities engaging in this while they are targeting, proven through what is the fake sun that's over me at this same location. I'll attach that video for you. It is currently 11:32 a.m. This is again mental illness shared by that entity, P.O.C. That's Southwest Airlines. The entity is engaging in what is the pattern of conduct. This is G Street and Euclid. Remember, the entity is taking off, hovering over 325 West G Street, hovering while I'm at the Tapor Professional Building, hovering over the 7-Eleven where Jason Knighton and Lester Keys committed kidnapping. This is the airport that's being shut down. And this is mental illness, and they're doing so under what is indeed a fake sun. All right, this is the fully exposed state surveillance system. They're being deported. Anybody that's not a natural born citizen, the entire population is being deported. This is P.O.C. That's the government that is stalking in that environment, speaking to what is targeting. And they're engaging in that while they commit what is gross sexual violence as the mentally ill, monitoring in places like bathrooms on behalf of that government that's stalking in planes and helicopters. Doing so, we're hovering over the 280 North Limit Apartments as though they're taking off behind the City Hall. The Ontario International Airport is south of Holt Boulevard. This is Southwest Airlines, again engaging what is clear targeting, not only through the fake sun, but because they're port where you would even be at that elevation. This is the entity that's highly unintelligent, and they're engaging in behavioral patterns as I've shown you, stalking with light. This is what UPS is doing while it's remaining over me. This is P.O.C. This is the I just want to be clear, they're being shut down. And this is psychopathic pacing together. This is all psychopathic pacing. This is the demon possessed. 8 NUX 706. They're crossing path and they're all in engineer light. P.O.C. This is shared mental illness. All these businesses are engaging in criminal surveillance, conspiring your murder. P.O.C. The demon stalking in the Roadrunner vehicle 00834Z2. He's doing so with the airport. That business and that demon operating that commercial vehicle is engaging in surveillance and conspiring my murder while the airport hovers over the downtown Ontario luxury apartments, which they're doing again, confirming what I just documented. License 9A Nancy Mary 359, 9 Bob Jerry Paul 686, 8 Xavier Thomas Sam 381. And the entity is engaging what is gang stalking while the entity is covering up that fake sun that's clearly over me across the street from the OVITT Family Community Library, over me while I'm at the Ontario Village Shopping Center. It's supposed to be over the OVITT Family Community Library, over me while the Ontario police are stalking me, and it's supposed to be over the OVITT Family Community Library. Doing so while then covering up as I walk to the OVITT Family Community Library is the prosecution of the demons at the OVITT Family Community Library for conspiring my murder and maliciously doing so for a term of years. This is P.O.C. It's currently 12:02 p.m. All right, the mentally ill are their mental illness is underscored while they're gang stalking inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, where the fake sun proving that they're mentally ill while they seek to appropriate psychopathic behavior, which is impossible. And all you do is pay attention to the same P.O.C. The demons that are gang stalking are doing so while they're monitoring. And you're looking at this psychopath. This is perhaps a Latina female. She's a psycho. She's engaged in, and this is not name calling, this is an abbreviated term for psychopath, okay? She is actually a psycho.
inside of the audiovisual workroom for the staff. This is, again, the prosecution of OVITT Family Community Library. Kidnappers, sex offenders, co-conspirators of murder, engaging in the psychopathic pattern of conduct inside of the venue where the proof of that is also, while I'm nowhere near it, in the fake sons over me, speaking to them, stalking, monitoring, psychopathic behavior, sexually violent behavior, absurdly demented group behavior, which is designed to maintain surveillance, and it's also that which is psychologically harmful while psychopaths engage in stalking together with the Ontario Police Department. This female, you'll see her and you'll witness the evidence of her mental illness, which is shared by an entity. So she is sharing what is mental illness by everybody that's inside, well, that's engaging the pattern of conduct, but I'm focusing on OVITT Family Community Library that had no sun over the entrance this morning, where OPD is stalking in a helicopter, just like they are at this entrance under that fake sun, speaking to this being a psychopath, entering and exiting, that is pacing, with regard to monitoring on the devices, monitoring on the internet, and monitoring while having impossible light, while she is engaged in psychopathic pacing, which does not create any earthquakes or impacts inside of any of the adjacent conference rooms, okay? She's a demon, and that's where the entity engages in conduct where you're looking at someone that doesn't want you to be able to see her mental illness, which is her demon possession. And also what you cannot see is the demonic activity that is the impact of what she is engaging in. The entity is engaging in conduct when they're at the desk and all they're doing is engaging in demonic activity all day long, stalking all day long. That's all they're doing. And this is what I was documenting yesterday, the exhaustion with regard to being around psychotic people, and all they're doing is stalking, and they're engaging in demonic activity the whole time. Stalking with impossible light, stalking with impossible audible activity, stalking with sensational. These are demons that want to have an impact on you. So while they're walking outside or walking across the room from you, you're feeling earthquake conduct, like trembling under your feet. That's never naturally happening. The entity's mental illness is exhausting. They're sick. Okay, and they're stalking me obsessively. Their mental illness is not only embarrassing to them, it's exhausting to be around a bunch of stalkers that are mentally ill. All they're doing is flipping and slinging and slanging light, flashing and sparking light while they're stalking me. And they want to get in, let me get in peripheral vision. All right, this isn't what they're saying. This is what they're doing. This is how pathetic they are. They're engaging, getting in peripheral vision, sitting in front, sitting beside, standing, walking by, and some method of light activity, some sort of flashing of light. Demon, psychopath, while they're pacing in and out of an administration door, that same administration that wants to be looked at as somebody that's maintaining some sense of normalcy and private activity, protection under the law. You have none. You're fully exposed, not only as a terrorist, but as a co-conspirator of murder and an outright baboon, a psychopath, a feces eater. And that's what this demon in room, audiovisual workroom, staff room, she's pacing from this room into what is the administration door. She's doing so well. She's in engineered light. You're already aware of the impossible light activity. It's impossible to appear sane in the engineered environment. It's impossible to appear sane when you're stalking under what is a fake sun that's remaining from sunrise until sunset. These are demons that are delusional. Delusional with regard to going to federal prison and going into mental asylums right on time, not delaying anything. The entity that's stalking me at the Ontario Village Shopping Center by helicopter under the fake sun, that is not over the OVITT Family Community Library at the same time, simultaneously, or within any natural environment after I'm walking from that location to the library. And the natural environment is already there. So that means it wouldn't have been over my head where the entity is stalking again in a helicopter. This is a psychopath that's pacing, and you'll see her at 12:30 p.m. and 4 seconds. She's coming out of the audio visual workroom, staff room, which is used as a means of stalking with noise. These demons are psychopaths, and so they engage in what is psychopathic pacing, meaning opening and closing the door, not even necessarily walking in and out of it. They do it while they're behind my back. These are cowards that are also very much embarrassed by the reality of exposing their mental illness, and it's already exposed. But this is what they do. The entity engages in what is psychopathic pacing. Walking outside, though, standing right in front of the office, it's crickets. And by crickets, I mean, oh, there's no heavy foot powder, foot traffic in and out of the administration room anymore, where they have where it sounds like you've got a gang that's taking turns walking in individually instead of everybody walking in at once. They're walking in individually as the door opens and closes and 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 opens and closes. And as I walk out, none of that's what's happening. It's also uncharacteristic of what's going to happen in the library anyway, where everybody's acting like it's a peaceful environment and quiet and nothing's going on. That's what you're going to compare with the fake sun and the stalking by the Ontario police and the Ontario International Airport and the people of the state that are stalking with light and stalking in that environment with impossible light activity, meaning there are multiple shadows. All right, they're engaging in this conduct, and even as they fail in trying to hide their mental illness, it's evidence of mental illness. Very deranged, very delusional, very obsessed. Okay, this demon is pacing, going from this side audiovisual office into the administration office door, and is doing so with regard to pacing. And so is every other employee. This is what Mickey and Gregory and Taylor and Natasha, Brianna, John, Alexander, Alex, this is what these demons are doing all day long, pacing in and out of whatever doorways that they have, the entrance doors, the children's side entrance door, the administration door, now using what is this side audio visual, well, I don't want to say now because it's not like they don't use it, they do use it, but they're using that while I'm standing outside at that desk area. That's why that demon is using that door in particular. It's all about stalking in my path, okay? But this is whatever means of activity creation. And this is the mentally ill behavior, where I'm showing you the entities engaged in police training in alignment to this OVITT Family Community Library at 7 in the morning. The fake sun is over my head at this OVITT Family Community Library, not when I'm at the grocery store apparently, but when I don't go to the grocery store, it's over my head and in alignment to that same sunrise of police training on July 14, 2025 at 7 in the morning. Well, at 10 o'clock in the morning, it's in the same position over my head at this entrance. That's, again, speaking to mental illness by this demon, pacing out of what is the audio-visual workroom. She's stalking in the path. She's an outright baboon, eating her own feces, stalking. And they're eating their own feces while they're gang stalking in front of the whole world. They're eating their own feces. The Ontario Police Department has proven their mental illness and vice versa. It's currently 12:42 p.m. The entity that's stalking like this is monitoring my vagina, engaging in surveillance regarding my vagina in that bathroom, entering and exiting. That's how obsessed with me that they are. This is P.O.C. at the OVITT Family Community. All right, it's 12:54 p.m. This entity is full of very mentally deranged psychopaths. That's what is behind stalking and things like commercial planes and helicopters. It's encompassed within mental illness that is stalking inside of the library. So this is mental illness. Just to give you, again, a picture, a good picture is the behavior of cockroaches. Cockroaches hide in dark, moist areas. And typically when you turn the light on, they scatter, okay? They're comfortable coming out when it's dark, when there's no movement, if you will. The mental illness of the demon possessed is analogous to the behavior of a roach. And they are the cockroaches of mankind, okay? The demon possessed are engaged in monitoring evidence. So they're exposed and they're sitting up watching their exposure, and they're being embarrassed, and they're going to be subject to very embarrassing mental diagnosis and treatment by medical facilities and et cetera, all that's coming. But the public embarrassment is relevant to the cockroach behavior of that mental illness that the demon possessed seek to conceal from the ignorant onlooker, okay? So the entity's engaged in monitoring the evidence. So that's what's relevant regarding where you see I'm positioned outside of the study room. I'm seated on the edge of the, somewhere I never sit. I never sit at that table area adjacent to this demon's office where she's pacing in and out of it. The audiovisual works staff office. This is a demon. She's a female. She's wearing the tan brown. She has a grin on her face. This is a demon possessed. But that mental illness is personified through what's a sick smile. It's actually very disturbing. She's a demon. She's engaging in mentally ill behavior. She's pacing in through one door and out of another with regard to monitoring. She's doing so in engineer light. So while she's moving around, while the doors are opening and closing, she's engaging in the elements of monitoring. She's doing this while the demon-possessed are stalking in planes and helicopters, and while the rest of the demon-possessed are sitting around monitoring on devices. This is ongoing obsessive surveillance. So while I am outside seated at that table, the entity maintained the zero to little. She's the only demon that engaged in what is pacing in and out. Okay, now it's 12:57, 12:54. Yeah, I've been recording for 2 minutes and 45 seconds. The entity maintaining ongoing psychopathic pacing while the demons are not facing me, okay? Meaning I'm not looking at them, engaging in conduct where they are very much humiliated. And they're also demons that behave like cockroaches. So in the dark is where they engage in their behaviors, where they're eating food that's left out, where they're crawling all about as a disgusting infestation. When you turn the lights on, when you look directly at them, they scatter, okay? This is the mental illness that is not able to hide from you when you are paying attention to what the demon-possessed are doing. Now, there's a grand difference. The entities engaged in what is stalking, right? When I'm outside of the conference room earlier, let me go ahead and recall the time because that's where I'm standing outside, and this is where this is the only demon that's engaging in it, contrary to the figures that I'm going to give you now. It's 12:30 p.m. when this demon is pacing out of the office and into the administration door that demons are pacing in. These are the demons, today at the circulation desk is the very heavily documented demon Taylor, under the fake sun at 8:55 in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, where it's over me at that same entrance at 10:40, like I documented yesterday. She's mentally ill, and she's engaging in what is psychopathic pacing as an employee throughout the library, crossing paths with me, stalking, and pacing in and out of the administration door. The administration door is nothing other than an illustration regarding the mental illness of those that are working at the venue, sharing in the pattern of conduct with the state. The entity engages in what is ceasing that ongoing heavy use of that door regarding psychopathic pacing and noise creation, while I step out to what is captured the cockroaches images, okay? They don't want that, okay? So nobody's engaging in it. While I'm out and capturing, let me see, 12:22 p.m., 12:20 p.m., yeah, 12:30 p.m., the only demon that's engaging in what is pacing using these doors, they're still maintaining the elements of monitoring. They're still stalking with noise. The entity, including through the people of the state that are speaking, it's audible noise around me. The entity doing so using the doors, which they're maintaining a paper trail. They use key cards that creates a timestamp that regarding their psychopathic behavior. This is all that which the entity is doing on behalf of the state that is mentally ill as well, maintaining a sick surveillance system amongst the mentally ill that are in positions of government. Those are the ones stalking as a fire department, police department, airport, stalking as a population. The entities engaging in this, much like cockroaches who flee when you turn the lights on, who flee when they sense any movement. And this is the mental illness of the demon-possessed. That's the type of behavioral patterns that they maintain. They do so in the specific environment. You know that they're mentally ill because you're looking at the specific environment. You already know that. You're getting into more analysis here. The entities engaging in what is stalking, and they engage in an outright cease of what is the psychopathic pacing. The maintenance of the door slamming, which is audible activity, and this is just an example regarding everything that they're doing. I've documented before being in the first floor basement, and the entity maintains inexplicable loud booming noises. Okay, that's not noise that's coming from them opening and closing their door upstairs, not naturally. It's not coming from them walking around. It's the maintenance of noise that is occurring in engineered light while they're all stalking in the library. I've documented that, and I've documented my asking them, where's that noise coming from? The demon-possessed, oh, I don't know. I'm really not sure. I'll have to look into that for you. They're doing that where the fake sun is rising and setting. This is all evidence that's going to be used in diagnosing their mental illness as they behave like cockroaches that are comfortable in the dark and that flee when the light is turned on, okay, when you're looking at them. The entities engaging in this conduct, and so when I walk out of the this study room, 12:20 to 12:30, that's a long time as far as demons pacing and stalking with noise. It's 7 minutes. The entities engaged in one is at least about 22 times pacing in and out of this administration door. Okay. While I am uploading this, well, not uploading, I'm processing the podcast, finishing my analysis, my commentary for the podcast for November 19th. And after 12:30 p.m., I walk back into this room and the entity engages in what is no pacing in and out of that administration door, while the cockroaches are aware of the fact that their images are going to be captured. I've already captured their images. Moreover, I don't even need their images. This entire library is being watched by the federal government. It's an inevitable federal prosecution in prison, such as Gregory's going to prison. You have Taylor engaged in criminal summoning. That's federal prison. Alexander engaged in kidnapping, as well as Alex kidnapping. Abigail, criminal summoning, kidnapping. You're talking about federal prison. You're talking about systematic monitoring. And what is sexual violence that you're facilitating amongst a population. Remember, that's sexual violence that precedes murder. That's federal prison. The entities that's engaged in it. You're talking about this venue, which is monitoring with the whole city of Ontario, where they concentrate the crime scene. All of the city of Ontario is pacing all around, while the fake sun remains over me inside of this library. And the entities engaging in that, which is that same pattern of conduct, while I'm nowhere near the library. You see the fake sun over me at the Ontario Village Shopping Center, where the police department is stalking me by helicopter and by airport. The airport that has no landings or takeoffs that are hovering over under any circumstances. That's why Alaska Airlines is acting like they're taking off at 1630 East Holt Boulevard. It's the same airport. So what Southwest Airlines and Alaska Airlines are doing, as you are looking at the bigger picture regarding all of the evidence of targeting proven by that airport, is serving for what is the evidence of mental illness. The cockroaches that are engaging in this conduct inside of a venue where they are already surrounded with the evidence, where the federal government is watching them exhibit severe mental illness. And you need to understand, think about the behavior of cockroaches. That is the mental illness that does not want to be seen. You're dealing with a demonic spirit. That mental illness does not want to be seen by you. Okay? That mental illness is akin to the behavior of a cockroach that seeks to flee when the lights are on, so they're not there. They don't want you to know that they're there. That mental illness, that spirit, doesn't want you to know that it's there. You do know that it's there. You already have the raid prepared. Okay? This is the delusional behavior, however, of the mentally ill that are stalking by pacing through a doorway as a whole group of cockroaches. They're engaging in this, and they're doing so as I'm processing the podcast through the administration door. And this is for probably about, again, I would say another 10 minutes, and that psychopathic pacing resumes after engaging what is an outright departure from it, not at all just the demon that bravely, I'll say, but it's not really brave, it's delusion, maintaining that pattern of conduct as they see opportune. As I'm standing right in front of that door, she walks out of it into the administration door, out of the administration door back into that office. She's pacing and doing so. These demons are doing this while they are outside of my view. I don't have to be there. This is what's wrong with them. They're engaging in conduct where Christ Jesus has been watching them the whole time. That's why they're subject to prosecution in ways in which they didn't even anticipate. They're subject to exposure in ways in which they did not calculate. That's because the Lord God has been watching them the whole time while they're obsessed with me. Somebody, I don't have to be in the courtroom when you were defaming my character and talking about that I abuse crack cocaine. Oh, the Lord God was there when you said that. That's why you're subject to a prosecution in ways in which you never anticipated. You didn't think that there was going to be a correlation regarding my ongoing investigation that you took for a joke because you're a cockroach, and you're defaming my character regarding property that you shouldn't even have any information about, proving that there's a statewide system of surveillance underway, by the way. While psychopaths are pacing in and out of a doorway adjacent to me in the specific environment. The entities engaging in this, and they're engaging in this conduct while the mentally ill are obsessed with an illusion of sanity that they do not have. Nobody is looking at any of them as though they're sane. You're looking at what you already know is stalking, me, and you're also looking at what is mentally ill. I'm giving you ongoing evidence as to how you're analyzing it and how you are not going to be ignorant about the demon-possessed that don't want you to know that they're demon-possessed. They don't want you to know that they are psychotic, so unstable, very much a threat to you and your children and your safety. They're a threat to themselves. while they're engaging in psychopathic pacing 20 plus times out of that door while I am processing the podcast. And that's within 10 minutes. While I'm outside, can see the demons' faces, and the cockroaches don't want to be seen, okay? And it is that specific to me. That's why they have a fake sun already on the record, rising and setting. That's why they're stalking with the Ontario Police. That's the entity that's going to be addressed. There's no mystery here. There's not going to be any back and forth. There's not going to be any he said, she said, and they also don't have a defense in court. This is literally me exposing and me prosecuting, and I'm also going to go ahead and give you a practical breakdown regarding what are fully exposed demons and the ways in which they behave with regard to the intent to try to deceive you. I'm not deceived by it. It's highly unintelligent, and you're not going to be deceived by it either. It's 1:07 p.m. These are the mentally ill at the OVITT Family Community Library, including the gang stalking patrons that are obsessively stalking on behalf of the Ontario Police, that are going to be removed from existence because of the high instability that is exhibited, shared by this population. They're stalking while the demons are pacing in and out of this doorway. The Ontario Police are stalking in helicopter and in vehicles around the adjacent properties, around the perimeter, monitoring to that mentally ill behavior, which they share. This is P.O.C. It's 1:08 p.m.
It is 1:16, 1:17 p.m. The following are sex offenders. Oh yeah, Lindsay. Is that you, Miss Lindsay? Hi, how are you? I'm fine. Can I get some disinfectant wipes? Do you have any? Are you down here by yourself? Thank you.
No.
Thank you. All right, you have a good one.
You too.
All right, the psychopaths that are pacing. Lindsay is a demon that paces in and out of the administration door, is also monitoring my vagina, while a demon is already in position in engineer light in that bathroom. Upon opening the door, the toilet flushes with simultaneity. That's stalking with audible activity on cue, okay? The cockroaches that are comfortable crawling around in the dark and they flee when the lights are on. That's what's lying in wait in a bathroom. With Lindsay, that's engaged in vagina monitoring with the demons that are stalking me by helicopter, including with her at the OVITT Family Community Library. Lindsay's systematically engaged in vagina monitoring, conspiring my death in doing so. She's acting in furtherance of Jason Isaac Field's purpose in defaming my character, gang stalking me through a demon-possessed and psychopathic population like the people of the state, while he bet that by 2025 I would be dead. And I would never be able to speak of the criminal acts that he's committed against me, and that the federal government knows that he's also worthy of federal prison for. He's going to prison, and so is Mike LORENZ. All right, it's 1:18 p.m. This sexual violence is shared by Myra. She's upstairs gang stalking, crossing path as I walk to the elevator while they're stalking in the path. In the same way that the fake sun moves over me outside, they're tracking my steps, stalking inside of the library, in a bathroom. Okay, that's what's pacing in and out of the administration door, psychopaths. P.O.C. It's 1:19 p.m. Hi, ma'am. Would you mind letting me back into the study room, please? Yeah. Oh, thank you. Very much, thank you. All right, it's 1:20 p.m. And that's where you're getting to the mental illness of psychopaths pacing in and out of the administration door, to the ongoing vagina monitoring in the bathroom inside of the same venue, on behalf of the agency that is stalking me from place to place, including at this venue by helicopters, and doing so under things like a fake sun, speaking to their mental illness, psychopathic pacing, and engineered light and plausible light activity, speaking to their psychopathic pacing where mental illness is put on full display. And this is relevant to humiliating. Necessarily, you're going to humiliate domestic terrorists. You're going to deport them. That's humiliating as well. You're going to prosecute them and identify them publicly. That's humiliating as well. And their mental illness, which is a national security threat, is not protected by any HIPAA legislation, which they're violating because of criminal surveillance. You're not getting any of those protections. Everyone's going to know about your mental illness because it threatens American citizens' lives. That's how all of that is relevant to the demons inside of the Ovitt Family Community Library monitoring my vagina. P.O.C. And you're going to federal prison over my vagina too. So you can think about it all day and all night while you're sitting in a cell, while you're being shipped back to whatever country Mr. Trump decides to ship you out, because you're being deported as well. P.O.C. It's currently 1:21 p.m.
Alrighty, this is the entity that is including Demon Taylor, John, Alexander, and you have Abigail and Natasha, and these demons that are employed at the venue, heavily engaged in targetings, very mentally ill, psychopathic. Door slam as I log onto the computer, door slam as I capture screenshot, etc. This is their mental illness while they're gang stalking inside of the library. This is, right now it's currently 2:43 p.m., so Taylor is a psycho that's pacing from the circulation desk to the administration door and back. And then remember, they're doing so with the patrons. They're all demons. All they're doing is pacing all around me. Okay, I'm coming in, go print something, and that's the guys for stalking. Just go use the computer. They're engaging in shifts regarding stalking. This is that mentally ill population. The Ovitt Family Community Library demons are being exposed with regard to maintaining years of a facilitating venue targeting and all the document acts of malicious iterations of this P.O.C. And they're going to prison for it, and they're engaged in the same pattern of conduct that the people of the state at every other location are. They're coming into the library, sharing in surveillance, and surveillance by the demon-possessed, as you are looking, as you're witnessing, as you're listening, is very deranged, okay? And that deranged behavior is speaking to what is a criminal prosecution for gang stalking, which is, again, criminal activity by those that would like to double as a librarian. They're not librarians, they're terrorists. All right, they're not men and women, they're demons. They're not sane, they're psychopaths. And they're engaging in that while I am centering around, while I'm at computer number 1. It's currently 2:45 p.m. This is the entity that's engaging in not only the pattern of conduct, the entity of the, which is the Ovitt Family Community Library, everybody that works here, they're sharing in that in when it is before federal judges that they're going to be before, the impunity and the ongoing mentally deranged conduct. They're so sick that they don't recognize, just like the demons of the Ontario Police. You're going to prison for this, and you're doing it in front of everyone, including the federal government that's watching you. It's not going to be in court as though the federal government is the first time learning about what it is that I'm documenting. That's not what's happening. They're engaged in the pattern of conduct in the face of the feds, and it's going to be in court, and there will be no mercy for these terrorist gang stalking now. Engaging in you're monitoring and harassing not just because you're a demon, because you're a mean person. You're doing it because you're conspiring murder. Okay? You're engaging in what is war tactics against somebody who's prosecuting you by it, obviously. But these are intellectually impotent minions. They're cockroaches, okay? And they're going to be in court regarding evidence that I'm exposing in real time that they're going to be prosecuted for conspiring murder. That's the purpose of gang stalking inside of Ovitt Family Community Library and the federal government. Neither have I, nor is anybody else going to lose sight of that. Okay, while they are, again, cockroaches engaging in pacing, engaging in ongoing criminal activity with impunity, while they're keeping the evidence under surveillance, they're openly targeting with that airport, stalking me as I exit, and they're doing so like it doesn't faze them whatsoever, and it's not going to faze a federal judge to deport them, to put them in cells, to put them in asylum. It's not going to be phased whatsoever. All right, it's 2:46 p.m. This is P.O.C.
Stalking. Remember when they're flying over the Stater Brothers parking lot? As though they're taking off from the Stater Brothers parking lot. They're stalking me when I'm on Vesta Street, meaning veering from Stater Brothers, being in alignment with that parking lot to being over Vesta, all right, which is north of that parking lot. When they're hovering over this is impossible light over here. That's not their headlights. These are demons. They're going to be put in mental asylums. They're going to be deported and put out of the United States. And they're also going to be put in federal prison for stalking me in planes and helicopters with the intent to psychologically torture, to harass, threaten, and terrorize. Because that's what's relevant regarding somebody stalking you as a whole airport. Regarding an agency stalking you as a whole police department. Regarding a population of mentally ill, light-slinging wolf dogs and gargoyles, who are the people of the state stalking you with impossible light, while you are absurdly psychotic, okay? Dipping down and stalking in planes. There's no airport on Lemon Avenue right here, which would be, east of this ARCO. Remember, the Ontario International Airport is south of Holt Boulevard. Holt Boulevard's that way. There's no landing over here. They're stalking. As you already know, the whole world is witnessing, and they're doing so. Where are the people of the state doing? They're stalking me in the middle of the night. That's a demon lurking at the intersection right here. These are demons gang stalking via the roads and the highways. Traffic is surveillance. It's not traffic. And they're doing so with the government that's repeatedly engaged in that. So I just wanted to go ahead and get video of it. This is stalking on behalf of Mike Lorenz. Mike Lorenz is going to prison. P.O.C. It's currently 10:56 p.m. also, where there are no planes landing or departing from that airport, hovering from what is the storefront of Euclid Avenue and dipping behind this ARCO and Chevron gas station. This is P.O.C.